Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 City Commission meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody who's here in the audience. We have some really fun things on the agenda tonight. Swearing in people, not swearing at them, just swearing them in tonight. We have a number of proclamations, but I'd like to ask for the roll call, please.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Here.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Here.
Mayor Denise McGriff.
Present. Would you all stand, please, if you can, and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so tonight we have front and center the Oregon City Police Department. We have an oath of office for our new canine officer, Alfie Pohl, and then we have an oath of office for our new Oregon City Police officer. So, Jason, Officer Jason, are you ready with Mr. Alfie? Yes, go right ahead, Chief.
There we go. Mayor Commission, good evening. It's an exciting time for us tonight. We get to swear in our newest canine officer, Alfie, and we also get to swear in our newest lateral police officer, Jesse Oliveira. So we'll start with Alfie. Alfie is a 2-year-old Springer Spaniel. He's from Ireland, our first dog from Ireland, but we purchased him from Golden Gate Canine in California. He's certified to detect heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamine. Canine Officer Pohl went down to select Canine Alfie, and when he got down there, they got certified in the International Police Canine Association for those drugs. When he returned back, he became certified through the Oregon Police Canine Association. Alfie loves all his squeaky toys and is learning about glass doors and walls. He frequently runs into those in our police department, quite often actually, so he's getting a little bit better. Glass, he can't see him. Unfortunately, during his first deployment, Canine Alfie located 2 pounds of fentanyl, which is a great thing, but unfortunately he overdosed and was rushed to an emergency veterinary where he made a full recovery. He's all good now, and he's out on the streets locating a lot of dangerous drugs. So with Officer Pohl and Alfie, we also have Officer Pohl's family here.
There you go. Yeah, he actually doesn't even bark, so.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do it.
All right. I, Alfie, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon. I will abide by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics and the department's rules and regulations while I faithfully perform duties as a canine officer for Oregon City, Oregon. And I'm sorry, Mayor.
Should we check our pockets? Jason, how does he signal when he's found something?
It's funny, he actually puts his nose on it and just sits there still. He's completely still on the board. He just stares at it and just is completely still. My last dog would sit and he just kind of stares at it. Pretty awesome too.
Well, I was finding you commands that I've learned to sit and stay.
I know the person I got from Frank Romano, he would probably not like me to say this, but he doesn't know sit very well.
Sure, I'd like to call up Jesse Oliveris. We're excited to swear in our newest lateral police officer, as I mentioned. Just a little bit about Jesse. He grew up in Almsville and graduated from Cascade High School. Jesse went to Chemeketa College and then transferred to Portland State University, where he graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree in psychology. After graduating from PSU, Jesse got hired by the Los Angeles Police Department. He started working with LAPD in 2022 until he started with us on April 14th. He's already started his field training. He's doing very well, and he's on day shift. So if you see him out there, definitely say hi. Welcome to Oregon City. Tonight here, he's got lots of family. He's got his father, his mother, his girlfriend, and several others.
Family, just raise your hand. There they all are. Thank you so much for being here. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Well, you've kind of already done this before, so this should be old hat. Okay, so raise your right hand and start with I.
I, Jesse Oliveris, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon. I will abide by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics and the Department's rules and regulations, while faithfully performing my duties as a police officer for Oregon City, Oregon.
Congratulations. So now the time in life, we're going to get a picture with your permission.
Not me. I guarantee that.
would love to do the police.
Okay, I'd like to do the police. Scott, would you do the frontline worker proclamation?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Next on our agenda, we have some proclamations, and I'd like to ask Commissioner Smith to please read the proclamation for Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day, please. I should just give you mine.
Do you have them printed?
I do.
Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. And whereas there are approximately 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Oregon City Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and died or have been killed in the light of duty, including two of our officers, George J. Hanlon and Officer Robert Lipke. And whereas the members of the Oregon City Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms which have been guaranteed by the Constitution to every American citizen. And whereas it is important that the people throughout our country know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police departments, and that members of our law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Oregon City Police Department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency, which is
Unceasingly. It's a hard word, unceasingly.
Well, my vision's not great and my emotions are getting to me at this. This is a very important proclamation. It's a vital public service. I will hand that over to you.
And now therefore, I, Denise C. McGriff, Mayor of the City of Oregon City, along with the City Commission, hereby call upon the people of Oregon City to observe the week of May 11th through 17th, 2025 as Police Week with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities and in doing so have established for themselves an inevitable, enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon the people of Oregon City to observe Thursday, May 15th, 2025 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who through their courageous deeds have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duty. These officers have been lost but will never be forgotten. This community will be forever grateful. We ask for a moment of silence as we remember Oregon City's valuable public servants and pray for healing and hope at this time. In witness thereof, I will set my hand the 7th day of May, 2025. Let's just have one moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Chief Davis, will there be a small ceremony with a wreath and everything out front, or?
Yeah, we can get a
We
wreath.
don't know, or we don't know yet.
We go and celebrate at Clackamas County. They have a Memorial Day, and it'll actually be on Thursday, May 15th at 1 p.m. if anyone's interested in.
Okay. I didn't know if we were doing something here out front.
Yeah, we'll have a wreath there out front.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you so much. Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. So this proclamation is for the Frontline Worker Appreciation Month. So whereas frontline workers are the builders of our community, exercising curiosity, compassion, courage, and creativity to provide essential services that ensure the safety, health, and the education of our residents. And whereas over 9 million healthcare workers across the United States serve in hospitals, clinics, and long-term care facilities, often placing themselves at risk to provide life-saving care. And whereas firefighters respond to an estimated 36 million emergency calls each year, over 800,000 sworn law enforcement officers nationwide work tirelessly to uphold the law and ensure livability and public safety. And emergency medical services personnel respond to more than 240 million calls annually. And whereas teachers dedicate their careers to shaping the future of our communities, with over 3.7 million educators in the U.S. providing knowledge and guidance to our youth. And whereas frontline workers embody the essence of builders, flexible thinkers, and constructive problem solvers who respect the dignity of all people by dedicating themselves to overcoming challenges and uniting communities. Mayor?
And now therefore be it resolved that the City Commission of Oregon City does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Frontline Worker Appreciation Month, and as a part of the observance encourages all people in Oregon City to join in celebrating the heroic contributions of our healthcare workers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, EMS, and teachers in Oregon City, Clackamas County, Oregon, and across America. And I will sign this on the 7th day of May, 2025. And I will ask either Commissioner Mitchell or Commissioner Morrow if they would read the next proclamation. For Public Works. Either one of you.
I guess I'll do it.
Thank you.
Whereas public works professionals play a vital role in shaping the future of communities by ensuring the delivery of infrastructure, systems, facilities, and services essential to providing sustainable and resilient communities that support public health, enhance quality of life, and promote the overall well-being of communities across the nation. And whereas these critical systems would not exist without the dedication of public works professionals that include engineers, managers, support staff, and employees across all levels of government and the private sector. These professionals are responsible for rebuilding and maintaining critical lifelines, water systems, waste management, transportation networks, and utilities, which are vital for daily life and disaster response. And whereas each year the American Public Works Association sponsors National Public Works Week, a week-long campaign designed to educate the public about the importance and impact of public works professionals who proactively plan for future needs, develop sustainable solutions, and contribute to economic growth and community development through their stewardship of public buildings and other essential community services, projects, and services in their communities. And whereas it is in the public interest for the residents, community leaders, and youth of Oregon City to recognize and understand the vital role public works play in supporting and improving everyday life, and whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week, jointly sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association, with the theme People, Purpose, Presence, a theme highlighting 3 cornerstone ideals that motivate public works professionals to serve their communities every day.
And now therefore I, Denise C. McGriff, Mayor of the City of Oregon City, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. And I encourage all residents and community members to join in recognizing and celebrating the invaluable contributions of our public works professionals. Let us honor their unwavering commitment as vital first responders, as protectors of our health and safety, as stewards of the infrastructure that connects our communities, and as contributors to our community's quality of life, knowing that their work today lays the foundation for a brighter, stronger tomorrow for generations to come. And I will sign this proclamation on the 7th day of May, 2025. And I will add, just right here, even though I was going to do it later, that last week in North Bend at the annual League of Oregon Cities meeting, the City of Oregon City received an Excellence Award, and it was basically on Friday, and it was for the city's inflow and infiltration reduction project. The award, which recognizes progressive and innovative city operations and services, was presented to the co-recipients along with the other cities. Falls City and Sapoose won something. They didn't get it for I&I, but anyway, so about our program, it says the challenges for this oldest city in Oregon was to address I&I in the sewer system with pipelines that were very old while also navigating the scarcity of building records. The program is designed to significantly reduce inflow and infiltration by implementing construction packages over multiple years, which also addresses sewer basins, identifies as significant contributors to I&I within the city. The work includes investigation of the existing system through CCTV, smoke and dye testing, flow monitoring, and other techniques. A strong public outreach program was also needed, and the city produced that as well. As the program seeks to reduce private sector sources of I&I as well as those within the public right-of-way, and to date, $28 million in program and project costs have been completed, and approximately 20,000 linear feet of mainline rehabilitation have been constructed. So we won that award, and I'm so excited about that. I wish we could have been there to accept it in person, but we were unavailable, but I accepted it by video on our behalf. So thank you, Public Works staff, and let's give a round of applause to our Public Works staff in the back. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Dana. And our able-bodied consultant from Wallace Engineering, Jim Montgomery, also deserves some congratulations as well. So, job well done. Glad we submitted it. It was exciting. I can't wait till we get it, and then we can give it to you guys to hang up on First Street. So last but not least, we have a proclamation declaring National Historic Preservation Month 2025. And as many of you know, Oregon City is the oldest incorporated city west of the Missouri River, and we are very proud of that. We have some of the oldest infrastructure, as you just heard, and we also have some very nice old buildings in our community, and we very, very much cherish those. So whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for promoting building reuse and sustainability, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and enhancing livability, and whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, for Americans of all ages and all walks of life and all ethnic backgrounds, and whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history and culture in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the structures, sites, and other resources that have helped shape us as a people, and whereas historic place savers poured their time, energy, resources, and sometimes a great deal of sweat and tears in protecting places they care about, and whereas this year's theme is harnessing the power of place and the countless ways that preservation creates community across the country, I therefore, Denise C. McGriff, Mayor of the City of Oregon City, do proclaim May 2025 as National Historic Preservation Month and call upon the people of Oregon City to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. We also celebrate very much by having our annual Ruth McBride Powers Award, where we recognize either an individual and or a project that were significant, made significant improvements to the City of Oregon City, and we look forward to hearing that from our Historic Review Board. So thank you very much, everyone. We do have some other things coming up next month. I think Asian Pacific Islander Month is coming up, and we'll be celebrating that as well. On the agenda, we have item number 4, which is public comments. I only have one comment card. And is there anybody else that is interested in saying anything? I think the rest of the people here are from our DEI committee. So Cyrus, come on up. And you know the drill, name and city of residence for the record. And Jacob has Evan has the timer.
There we go, is that going?
Yes. You can sit.
Oh.
And yeah, the green button's on, you'll be good. Yeah, we're not in front of the judge, so don't worry about that. She makes people stand up, but we don't.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Cyrus Zamani. I am a resident and business owner here in the city of Oregon City. Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak today. For over a decade, I've invested in this city, running businesses, organizing events, and creating public art. I'm here today because my recent experience with the Economic Development Department raises serious concerns about the fairness, transparency, and accountability of that department. The elevator lighting project, which I managed for years, ended abruptly when staff from the city stopped responding. That experience, like this one, taught me that city support cannot be relied upon. During the car show community event grant process, clerical errors like a typo in insurance paperwork shouldn't derail community events. When staff rigidly enforce rules while ignoring context, they undermine public trust and create unnecessary barriers. When I initially applied for the grant, Mr. Graham told me during a meeting in February that only $4,000 remained in the grant fund. The application deadline hadn't passed, the program was not first come, first served, but it was clear to me that funds had already been allocated before all applicants were considered. After confirming my application was received back in January originally, as well as the February budget meeting, in March, I was told the application simply wasn't there and had to start over, costing valuable planning time. At the April 2nd City Commission meeting, Mr. Graham publicly questioned the solvency of my event and asked whether vendors would be paid, concerns he did not raise with other applicants. And Mr. Graham only capitulated when I committed personally to guarantee the event funds. After the official approval by the City Commission, I requested specific insurance language from Mr. Graham, which he responded with an incorrect city name, triggering further delays with our insurance and permits. By late April, just 3 weeks before the event, I had no assurance of funding. Canceling would have meant refunding sponsors and vendors and left the city unprepared for a large public gathering. Ironically, while Mr. Graham expressed concern about the event's viability, his own delays created the very conditions that he feared. This has been exhausting. Most organizers can't afford to take these risks, and many fear speaking up. But I'm in a position to say what others cannot. I respectfully asked the commission this evening to consider: investigate Mr. Graham's conduct and statements, establish fair and transparent grant procedures, ensure small business applicants are treated. I apologize, Mayor.
Yeah, that's okay, you have to wrap it up.
Yes, I am. Clarify what ensure small business applicants are treated equitably, and clarify what counts as successful completion regarding the city-sponsored public event program. Further, please remove the repayment clause for the Oregon City Car Show grant and affirm that raising these concerns here tonight won't jeopardize future applications which I may submit. Oregon City deserves better. Let's make sure our systems serve the community consistently, fairly, and without retaliation. Thank you.
So for the record, I just want to say, we generally don't respond back, but I want to say your application was approved by the City Commission conditionally. And I don't know if you remember that, because you did not have some of the required things that you needed to have. So we thank you for your comments. I have talked to other applicants who have applied for this, and we have not had any difficulties. So we will chat with you at some later date, I'm assuming, and we're just going to leave it at that. But thank you for coming and speaking with us.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next on our agenda, we have a number of items on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I believe we have a
Oh, excuse me, sorry. I'm just trying to get through the agenda. So item number 5 is Community DEI Task Force update. And the chair is coming up, and Mr. Foils, you coming up? Nope, you're not coming up. So how many members of the task force are here tonight? Just raise your hand so you can be recognized. Thank you so much for being here. And you have a PowerPoint?
Yes. Excellent, thank you. I'm Darcy Southwell. I'm an Oregon City resident. Thank you. And I'm joined today by 2 of my fellow task force members, Heidi Blackwell and Linda Smith. And we really appreciate you having us. First, we want to thank you for your support for our work and for your commitment to building a diverse and equitable and inclusive and safe community to live in and to work in. Thank you. Next slide.
During this iteration of the DEI task force in 24-25, we had 14 members that were part of the task force that helped us come up with the suggestions that we're going to present to you this evening. In addition to that, we had 2 staff resources that were there helping us through many of the meetings, Melissa Sebastian and Greg Williams. Additionally, the consultant, Lamont Brown, with the Triangle Advising Group, was an integral part in our meetings and helping us coalesce a thought.
So this was the second iteration of the task force. There was some members kept from the last task force, and then there was new members added. The intention was to represent the diverse makeup of Oregon City, different ages, abilities, backgrounds. We met bi-monthly from this fall until last night was our final meeting. The engagement throughout the meetings just dropped from meeting to meeting. There was no like really clear mission or goal or a long-term commitment for the task force. So while we spent time reviewing the vocabulary and some of the topics that I know the internal task force had done, and we did give some, energy and effort to developing a draft calendar, talking about what a name could possibly be or what some goals could possibly be. That's really going to be driven by the commission and what the goals are and how the city leadership thinks that the group should be supported moving forward. The one consensus that I can share, though, is that we did, as the group, want to continue with that, working with the commissioners and working with the city leadership to share the information that we have.
So we had several recommendations, and I'm just going to do an overview to list them, and then we'll talk more in detail as we move through the slides. So we would request from the commission that they move the task force into a permanent status, that they would provide a staff liaison to our community DEI advisory group, to establish multicultural and heritage calendar as a permanent addition, build community partnerships, and engage with the community through events, programs, and listening sessions. Recommendation number 1 is about permanent status. So we would like to see a group move forward from being a task force into being an advisory group as a permanent addition to the city of Oregon City. We would like to rename it. Instead of the DEI task force, we would like to call it the Community DEI Advisory Group. And we really struggled with the DEI acronym and ultimately decided that we needed to keep it because it really spoke to what our group is aiming for. We would like to establish a mission for our group to center inclusivity, equity, and diversity, bridging all communities within Oregon City so that everyone feels welcome and has a deep sense of belonging. Recommendation number 2 is to establish a liaison with collaboration, a staff liaison, excuse me. The central point of contact within Oregon City staff for advising our group to raise any questions or concerns related to our work. So some bullet points for that would be to consider answering direct questions from the advisory group during meetings, to collaborate with relevant Oregon City staff and functions to respond to questions raised during our meetings, to assist the advisory group with knowledge about city processes and practices, because we don't work for the city, we don't know all the things we need to know, so we really would like to have a staff member that could help us with that. And to refer to the Oregon City leadership or commissioners any questions or queries that our advisory group may come up with regarding actions. We feel that the likelihood of keeping a consultant on long-term is less likely, and that's why we're asking for a staff liaison.
So I mentioned we created a draft calendar. The ask would be to establish a multicultural and heritage calendar that represents Oregon City and the residents here. That would then be paired with activities and events that would be led by community members attached to those different things represented on the calendar. We would want to incorporate businesses. We recognize the tourism that could be generated by having a broad range of visitors coming to take part in these activities and events. We have our lovely, wonderful museums and historical societies that would be involved, and we would welcome their involvement in these activities. At this point, the library and the parks have been involved in a lot of events, but I also want to give a shout out as someone who's worked on the Juneteenth the last 5 years, the public works, the police, the communications have all helped make those be successful events. And this, the idea of the calendar really mirrors what's happening in the school district and with Clackamas Community College, so there could be some synergy happening with those entities. So I'm just going to point out, we are not very reflective of the diversity of Oregon City. And why are the others we saw 14 people that did reflect more of the diversity. Why are they not here? I don't know. That's the question. Why are they not feeling comfortable coming and speaking tonight? Are they given up speaking to the commission and to city leadership about their concerns? Are they worried? Are they worried about saying something that's related to DEI, because that is can be a trigger word. So the ask is, use the information here. There was a Coalition Can Use a Color report. It's a 3-year research justice study. Oregon City put money in and there was calls to action. So look those over and see how those could be, implemented. There are a number of events and activities already happening. We're not asking the city to make all of those and lead all of those, but just be part of some of them that are already happening. And thinking about creating a safe, strong community that comes from people telling their stories and people listening and understanding their neighbors. Again, the Community Advisory DEI would be a group that could lead those projects and help make those connections with the different members of our community.
So, we know that the commission, one of the commission's goals is building a diverse and equitable and inclusive community. And that starts with engaging our community. And so all of these recommendations, including this one, are focused on how we do that. Getting the residents' perspectives, their lived experiences, their ideas, which is unique to every single one of us, and how we've lived our lives in this space, would contribute to developing engagement strategies that are meaningful, and in some respects would inform some of the other things that you saw in the earlier slides, such as activities. And ways to engage the community, whether it's cultural fairs or educational opportunities or listening sessions, or it's an endless list. But the goal would really be to reduce barriers to our citizens. I know you have a priority of reducing barriers to community processes and increasing the access to city services. The more we engage our community, the more we can accomplish that. And it would encourage Oregon City businesses to be a part of city processes, and another way to encourage our community members to engage our community businesses. We envision engagement strategies that are focused on building trust, connecting residents, and really fostering relationships and peer learning. And so that's our final recommendation. So just give you I'm not going to go over all of them because there were only 5 and we just talked about them, but I did want to say, these really are designed to foster a community where everyone feels welcome. Just as with, beautiful parks and clean water and public safety, this is about investing in our community. It strengthens the fabric of our community and is going to make Oregon City a place where people want to work and live and open a business and travel and visit. But we also recognize that this takes resources, and resources come in different flavors. That may mean dollars, it may mean staff time. We've asked for a staff liaison to help be the conduit between the city and the community group. But it doesn't necessarily mean a huge outlay as it's been with a consultant. So, you know, we look at this as a way for us as a community group to support city staff and the commission in achieving some of the goals that you've stated you have, and how we create an investment that gets the community that we all want. So, thank you very much.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? And if you do, please go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I just, one clarifying question. So I believe on the presentation, it said met 4 times, but I also believe I heard by 5, okay.
5.
Okay, so it says met 4 times, and I believe I also heard the term met bi-monthly, so.
Every other month.
Yes, okay, bi-monthly, not twice a month. Okay. Okay, yeah, that, I just wanted that clarification. Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner Mitchell? Wilson?
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I for one want to thank you all for the work. I was able to attend at least one meeting, and I know that you all were very diligent in your deliberations and thoughtful in your execution of what you were going to do. And I appreciate all the members' work, and it's important work for this city. And I think that we recognize that Oregon City has made some amazing leaps forward in terms of things that it's looking at. And we were able to have a number of multicultural events last year, which were a lot of fun. I'm going to mention that June the 6th, we have collaboration with Clackamas Community College on community connections. So that's going to be happening. It's the afternoon, as I'm remembering correctly. Evening?
5:30.
5:30. So we hope that our community comes out, and again, it's a collaboration that we've had with the college for, what, 3 or 4 years, Tony? Something like that? We've been working with them?
3 years.
At least 3. That's why I said 3 to 4. So that's good. Thank you so much. We will, Commissioners, do you have any comments about their suggestions and how we want to proceed to having a discussion about them, put this on a future agenda? And we'll let you guys know when that happens so we can have further discussion. So thank you so much for the information. We appreciate it.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners.
And thank you, Richard, back there in the back, one of our committee members. So we have a number of items on our consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding items A through F? I think the only one that I had a question about had to do with was the vacation of the right-of-way. And I didn't get a chance to go out to 654 Warner Parrott to see exactly where that was. So maybe we can just ask a question about that rather than just pulling it. So is this a residential property or is this a commercial property? Anybody that knows the answer to that question? I'm looking in the back. She's looking it up. While she's looking that up, I do want to say that I think our community has been doing a great job in being patient. We've got a lot of construction going on right now. It's a lot of weather, so no matter where you go, we have good weather. So no matter where you go, there's going to be delays. So please accommodate your travel time. I know I have to do that because I zipped up the hill this morning and I thought, ran into the construction on Malala Avenue, but he just let everybody through. So it was perfect timing for me, but we just have to exercise a little bit of patience. It's all good work that we're needing to have done, and we're improving a lot of our water lines, which we have major problems with, and it's getting all fixed.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Dana Webb, Public Works Director. Based on a quick look at the map, it appears to be a residential property.
Awesome. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll move to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rocky Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl,
Aye.
Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
May I say
Go
one
right
thing
ahead. Absolutely.
Before we move on?
Absolutely.
Something that I would like us to consider. I know that we need to hire engineering services because we build lots of weird stuff. You're like, we're going to build a reservoir. We don't have anybody on staff that knows how to engineer a reservoir. But we do payment, maintenance, utility fee. We collect that every year. We do payment work every year. We're spending $400,000 on engineering to do $1.9 million worth of pavement work. That's going to happen again next year. Could we not take some or all of that engineering work in-house and not have to keep paying consultants $400,000 every year and instead spend $200,000 more on putting pavement on the ground? So I know that's a complicated question. I know it gets into right-of-way and ADA ramps and a million other things, but it's basically the same process every year. It's not like some, weird project out of left field that we couldn't hire somebody to do. So I wish we would look into that. It just seems like a very large expense that we know we're going to have every single year.
So just a little bit of information. Historically, we have not done a lot of in-house design. So just in this last year, we've taken on 2 projects with internal design, the Connie Court Sewer Extension Project and the Livesay Water Line Replacement Project. And so we were able to take those on based on a term I use in our group called workload balancing. So as we've seen development slow down, those staff that have historically been reviewing plans for private development have been able to do in-house design on those smaller projects. Looking at something like pavement maintenance, like you mentioned, it is very repetitive, right? It's going to have a design phase, construction inspection, and could we look at taking that in-house? Possibly. The piece that would happen is in that non-design and non-construction season, then I've got, what are they doing? And so historically, we've outsourced our design work as a way to kind of keep our staffing consistent and not need to, staff up and then possibly lay staff off based on project scopes.
Okay, I just looking into it a little deeper.
Yeah, and we have been, and we'll keep looking at that, especially with the smaller projects. It also then becomes having the staff to inspect them available as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we don't have any public hearings tonight. We have general business under item number 9, and I'm going to request your indulgence for a late walk-on. Doug Neely is here, and he would like to talk to us about a request.
Can you,
Mike?
Yeah, is the mic on, Doug? And,
Thank you.
Name for the record and all
Then I'll
that.
continue on with an apology. Mayor and Commissioners, about 3 weeks ago, I submitted a request through the city manager and a copy to the mayor that I be put on the agenda to talk about a funding request we have for the Grand Floral Parade, which is going to be on January 7th. And it wasn't until...
June 7th.
June 7th, pardon me. Yes, June 7th. And it wasn't until I looked at the agenda today that I discovered it wasn't on. So I spoke to Commissioner McGriff, and she kindly had it put on the agenda. let me introduce what's going to be in the parade first, and I'll say what the contribution we're seeking. There'll be no float in this parade, but this is the 200th anniversary of the establishment of Fort Vancouver. That is the Hudson's Bay Company's headquarters for all of the fur trade in the Oregon country. And the Oregon country at that time, there was no boundary, so extended all the way from Mexico state of North California, all the way to the North American Russian territory, and all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the Continental Divide. That was the size of the territory, and the Hudson's Bay Company was the effective government here. It is a 200th anniversary, and our participation will be having a banner there from Fort Vancouver, recognizing the 200th birthday. We'll have marches, and then we're going to have a bus, and that bus has opportunities on the sides for signage, about 7 feet by 14 inches on each side, and I'm going to tell you what's going to be on that signage. I'm not going to show these to you simply because these don't show the font or anything. We'll be working with Buell's Impressions on that. The first sign will contain Unit of Fort Vancouver. Now that includes, and it's on here, the Dr. McLaughlin House and the Barclay House. Then is the Clackamas Historical Society, which includes the Museum of the Oregon Territory, the Stevens Crawford House. On the second sign, we have Oregon City Parks, the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center, the Ermitinger House, the McLaughlin Promenade, the Cayuse 5 Tribute Memorial, and the Mountain View Pioneers Cemetery. And then on the fourth is the McLaughlin Memorial Association, which is responsible for the Rose Farm and the associated W.L. Holmes House. In addition, we have Baker's Cabin Pioneer Church, which is actually located in Carver nearby, the Northwest Oregon California Trail Association, and the Curtis Heritage Education Center. And the crest is this, $500, I'm going to say for the bus, but it's not for the bus, it's for the flowers that go onto the bus. Every entry of that nature has to have a floral arrangement, and roses are expensive. The bus driver of the bus, he donates his time and his gas. He charges nothing. We're having $200 request for the signage, and I'm putting also a $200 contingency fee because I believe the signage is going to exceed that $200. We'll be working through Buell's Impressions, and basically I'm requesting then a total of $900, I guess, right? 500 plus 200 plus 200, yes, $900. Any questions of me?
Well, first of all, even though I am knowledgeable about this, you did not say which organization you were representing here, nor did you give your name and city of residence for the record, for one thing, because we have to do that. So you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, the Oregon City Heritage Coordinating Committee is made up of representatives of these various groups. It has no bylaws, it's simply an association of all these groups. But this has been the group that has dealt with the parades for most of its history. I think we've participated in a total, so far, 5 Grand Floral parades, 6 Grand Floral parades, and not including the COVID years.
So I think, as I expressed to you, when the Oregon City Heritage Coordinating Council came before the commission last year, I believe that there was a comment made that we don't just have a lot of money laying around to do stuff like this, and there needs to be some sort of comprehension that we can't keep coming in at the last minute asking city for money. So I don't know where this money is coming from, for one thing. That's my biggest concern. It's not a lot of money, but what I get concerned about is it sets a precedent, because people say, oh, look, they came in and asked for some money and the city just magically appeared, got it out of somewhere. And so, gee, maybe I could come in and do this with whatever I want to do and see if they'll approve me. So that's one of my biggest concerns, is that I asked you why did this wait till the last minute? I mean,
You know, and I
the
think
floral parade is, I know when it is. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
I do.
There was
but-
confusion on our part at the last commission meeting. We had the understanding that I'm sorry, the DMMO would be actually involved in the allocations of fundings. That turned out not to be the case.
No.
I realize that, but we didn't understand that at the time. And I think some of the objections on the part of the commission at that time was that would be the place to go, and apparently it wasn't.
No,
And that we weren't aware of it at the time, and of course, I don't think it was actually established at that point last year.
Yeah.
So that was the issue.
Yeah, part of it is I think the DMMO was never going to be a grant funding organization. That's not what we were talking about when we set it up.
I'll say that we got the impression of that from a couple of the commissioners.
Okay.
First, I have a question, and then, well, I'll actually go with my point, because it was my impression in our discussions that, at least from what I said that I wanted to see, was having the DMO oversee the potential disbursement of funds for things like this. And so, at least speaking for myself, I do recall that as well. Quick question before I get into a few more things. How much is, whether in kind or in actual dollar amounts, is the Heritage Coordinating Committee and other organizations that are involved, like the Clackamas County Historical Society, how much are they putting
It's
in?
Heritage Bus Tours that is providing their free services. In terms of a lot of the vintage outfits that are being worn, often some of them are in fact owned by some of the respective organizations that we mention here.
But no dollars
No.
themselves are being?
No.
Okay. I will just say that I appreciate what this program does every single year. And having been right next to that float when I was in the marching band with the high school, I've always appreciated that. But I do want to echo what the mayor said, in that we're currently in the middle of budget discussions, and ideally, if we're going to be giving dollars that are outside of a formal grant structure, it would be happening there. And I recognize that this is a recurring ask, but it feels as though it's a one-off every single time, even though it's happening every year. We don't know when it's going to be coming to us, but we know it's going to be, the ask is going to be made. And I have a hard time with that outside of a formal structure that we set up to competitively award grants to people, because apart from that, we're basically just sending a signal to people and other organizations to also come and ask for money. I do also recognize that $900 really isn't a lot of money. But this is, pretty much a repeat of things that I had said last time, and I'll just leave it at that.
We told them that
I
they
think
would not come back next
I
year.
think we were under the impression like I mentioned, the DMMO would be the money, allocate money, and it would be from the hotel motel tax. That's what we understood from last year.
Yeah, I know you sent me some material, but, these guys don't have it.
Right, yeah, all it is a listing of the signs, which I've mentioned, and a couple of other entities have been added to it. That's the only thing that I had sent to you.
Right, yeah, and then there's no budget that says, okay, this is what, you verbally said it, but it's not, again, we have to be transparent. Obviously, you've been the mayor before, all the stuff that we have to deal with when we're up here. And I guess I would turn to staff and say, there is no unlimited pot of money out there somewhere to be doing this. Where would this even potentially come from?
I think I talked to Matt, and ideally we'd pull it from transient room tax funding. Right?
Is
If we
that?
can't, we would pull it from general fund contingency.
Yeah, I don't
It's
want to
like
do that.
Ms. Commissioner Marl said, it's $900.
I know, but I don't want to take anything out of contingency. Do we have availability of $900 in TLT?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'm not thrilled at the way this rolled out, but.
Again.
Yes, but I think it also was a fairly reasonable expectation that we would have had the DMMO spun up by now. and we don't, because we had a problem getting a board recruited. And I've said this last year, and I'll say it again, there is no cheaper way to get the name of Oregon City in front of as many people as in that Grand Floor Parade. And so certainly I think next year it should be handled by the DMMO. I think this year we should fund it out of the transient room tax funds that we have accumulated. And so I'll make a motion that we do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Yeah, and would you like more discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I agree with some of what's been said. This is another example of not having a process to deal with events and to deal with tourism. And, you know, we've said this time and time again. So however this process goes in the future, you know, we still have to figure that out. I guess the only thing in addition I would say is, it's a huge downsize, which, you know, from what we've traditionally done, having the float. So I'm sorry to hear that, you know, that downsizing has been made, but that's because of some of this situation. I would then say, yes, it should come out of transient room tax. However, in the past, that partnership was also with the understanding that our, you know, Explore Oregon City logo or our tourism brand is part of that. So if that is not considered as part of the signage, I would say maybe approve $1,000 or whatever, make sure that the stipulation is that logo goes on there. This is hugely televised and is, you know, a very cheap advertising. One of the pieces is that most people know is there's announcers on every 5-10 blocks.
Yeah, 5 or 10 blocks, and they got our story
but that
wrong, unfortunately.
That script is televised, right? So that script is on live TV. So to make sure that, you know, there's a mention of, you know, our website or whatever for tourism, and a connection to that logo on the signage, I think that would be worth the money for that.
Do you want to listen to the script?
Hang on.
What? Do you have it?
Listen to the script?
Sure.
This is what I submitted. I asked for a word count. They wouldn't give it to me. They said no more than 2 or 3 sentences. My sentences are rather long, so it may not have it all. But the walkers and bus you see are celebrating the 200th anniversary of the establishment of Fort Vancouver, the headquarters of the United Kingdom's Hudson's Bay Company's fur trading operations in the Oregon country. The site also served as a United States military base from 1849 through 2011, with its barracks still there, and also hosts the Peterson's Air Museum. The signs on the bus list the various historic sites and associations in Oregon City that tell the story of the Oregon Trail, its ties to Fort Vancouver, and the trail's pioneers and their descendants. Incidentally, this year, the Hudson's Bay Company has filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, gee.
It got established, incidentally, in 1670, the first chartered company by the United Kingdom in North America.
So getting to a few things that Commissioner Smith said, the fact, I mean, because I agree, like if we were to give these dollars, it would have to come with the stipulation that it come with specific Oregon City logo and branding. And the fact that we don't have any formal proposal in front of us with a detailed budget is, I mean, beyond whether this is worth the investment, I don't know for any other organization that would ask us for money that we would not want those figures available to us when we're making those decisions. And second of all, when I do hear one of those details, which I do appreciate that you came prepared with that to give us some idea as to what this might look like, what concerns me is that when people hear all of this about the 200 year for Fort Vancouver, that doesn't scream Oregon City to me. We know, those of us up here know the connection.
Yes.
But I don't know that the general public and the people watching the parade and watching it on TV are going to make that connection. And so I also don't see how that is necessarily bringing people to Oregon City in a way that we would actually expect from the investment that we make.
That's what the signage and the script is intended to do.
And the script, what I'm saying is that I don't feel that the script does that.
No, yeah, it doesn't really say anything about Oregon City at all. I mean, again, I'm not saying that having some participation in the Rose Festival Parade is not important.
Right.
My concern is that an understanding that the movers and shakers that were involved in this last year are no longer involved in the organization. It's the last minute thing that bothers me the most, and that we don't have anything written. And so I would say that it's gonna, if I vote for this, it's gonna be contingent on several things. We need to have a written proposal about what it is you're asking for, and even if it's after the fact, and Oregon City needs to be on anything and everything that happens there. And I don't know how the script gets changed, so it talks about Oregon City, because I did participate in the parade last year. I walked the whole thing, and it drove me nuts because the script, whatever it was he was saying was wrong, and I was just like, you know, it was not correct, and it didn't really talk about, or it talked about Oregon City, but he got the script was a lot of stuff was wrong in it. So that was unfortunate, because again, as you said, people are not going to make the connection between Fort Vancouver and Oregon City because they don't know.
And just one more thing quickly, because I know I, like the mayor said, I understand, and I would like to see this happen, and I would ideally like to see this happen next year when the DMO is fully up and running and may have discretion over funds depending on what we charge them with. But we know who the Oregon City Heritage Coordinating Committee is. We know your organization, and that's the only reason why I think we would be considering this right now, absent all the information that I just discussed. What I don't like is the thought of someone from an organization that we don't know coming to us and asking for money and saying, well, you did it for them.
Exactly.
And the only difference is that you already know them. I have a problem with that. And so for me, again, this is just a process issue. And I'll leave it at that.
So I think we need to add conditions to this, that the logo goes on the banner, and that we need a report of some sort detailing what the expenses were, and how the money's going to be spent. And I don't, again, as I said last year, I do not want this to come to the city commission or the DMMO at the last minute. Again, please don't do that. I'm one of the biggest preservation boosters besides this guy right here. So it's when we're up here, we have to be fair and equitable. And your point is spot on. Because, how am I going to tell the International Order of Statues of Roosters that we're not going to fund their event, even though it's tourism, because, we don't have any information and we don't have a budget line item for this. So, and I don't know that there's any program that we have right now that this fits into. It's not Metro Enhancement. It's not a large, event thing. There's the second round of the grants that we have that are going on right now, which is too late for the Rose Festival. So this request, somehow needs to be, I don't know how you do it retroactively several months in advance, because we all know that the Rose Festival is in June. That's a given. I could look at my calendar right now and tell you when it probably will be in 2026.
June 7th.
Yes. So.
1 month from today.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead. No, I'm patient. That's good. So I was just going to say really quick, kind of where I'm at is I haven't sat on the commission with prior requests, but just being very frank, I'm not impressed with the informality of the request. And kind of the last minute nature of it. And as it sits right now, I would not be inclined to support it. And I would say, if we can come back with some of the conditions with a formal request of, a budget, and this is how the city is going to be included, logo, however, I would consider it at a future meeting, but as of right now, I wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, I think they have some sort of a deadline coming up. I know, it's not our problem.
Yeah, lack of planning
Yes,
doesn't constitute
an emergency, yeah.
on our part.
Yeah. Does the motion maker and the second agree to some of the things that we talked about, that we want conditions? I agree with you. If we're paying for it, our logo's got to be on it. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah,
We have to have some accountability for what the money's going out. You've got to have some documentation.
I think I can't imagine that the script can be changed at this point. My guess is if it already went to those.
Actually, it can be changed in within 2 day period.
Okay, so here would be my suggestion. There's a very small amount of people that know that Fort Vancouver is partly in Oregon City. That is the whole connection. We know that connection. Most people don't know that connection. So if the first sentence or two talks about, Oregon City is home to Fort Vancouver, I mean, that would be something that people are, what?
A portion of it, yeah.
Something to make a reference to that, because at the forefront, not at the end.
No, at the beginning, yeah.
And then at the end, if it can at least, I mean, I'm asking a lot because it's only a couple days away, but if that, I think that, something to clarify that, what that connection is, that Oregon City has a piece of that here. And I think you could say that in a pretty short.
Can I comment? I actually had a very different text, which talked about John McLaughlin as being the chief actor there, he being the founder of Oregon City and so forth.
Yeah.
And who changed it?
I felt that would be self-serving on my part since I portray him.
I don't think so. I don't think that's self-serving.
That is a huge connection. This is I guess a question for our economic development. With the transition to, and I will say, part of this is this gap that we've left unanswered. And so I'm sympathetic to it, not only because of the repetition of what it has been, but also that if we're no longer giving out grants for this purpose, which was tradition, and transient room tax had always been there to do this kind of purpose, we've hoarded that money to create a DMO, and then now we're saying the DMO is not going to be giving grants. Well, then where are the grants coming from? Then where is this process for events and things like this? We've created that situation. I think there's a fix, but we still have to not forget, we have to talk about that. We have to address that. So, the question is now that we're going towards the DMO, is our city existing tagline and website still
Oregon's hometown.
In operation, still effective, still being maintained, because we can't, and I've said this before, we can't assume just because the DMO starts and gets kicked off that we're out of the tourism business.
No,
we're not.
No, we're
we
not.
still have overlaps.
I agree.
And so, to me, that script needs to at least have that connection to Oregon City, and at the end, bam, there's the website at the end, if that website's still in existence and still accurate. If it's not, then of course we don't want to be plugging that out there. So I don't know if our economic development coordinator could answer that question, if our website is still up and is still something that we want to
It's still up.
drive people to.
I just looked at it yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Well, the fact that it's up doesn't mean it's still being, updated, still being accurate. I don't want to direct people there if it's not something we want to showcase.
The economic development website is still active and it's still up.
No, is it Explore Oregon City?
No, it's Oregon City's hometown.
Oregon City, yeah, it's Travel Oregon City.
Okay. Thank you.
.com.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe that should be on it too. I mean, here's a dumb sentence that I just wrote. So Oregon City is the home of the McLaughlin House unit of Fort Vancouver. I mean,
Yeah, so
that
simple.
just ties it, you know,
And then give the,
And then,
the
yeah.
rest of that. I mean, that's enough.
yeah.
Well, Oregon City was founded after,
Right.
I mean,
It's-
I can't quite phrase it that way because that's
Well,
not true.
but that-
I surely can say that it was founded by John McLaughlin while he was the
Yeah.
chief actor of, I mean, like I said, I wanted to avoid John McLaughlin for personal reasons, but
I don't think there's a conflict. It's got to be a connection. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not sure why we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of Fort Vancouver. I mean, it's
Because we have Fort Vancouver in our
well,
town, it's a park.
we have a unit of Fort Vancouver
That's
in our
still part
city.
of Fort Vancouver.
Right,
It's
but it
still-
wasn't part of the 250 years.
Well, secondly, I mean, the people coming, that were generally settling in the Willamette Valley, they probably wouldn't have made it through the first winter if it was at Fort Vancouver.
I get it.
I mean, so to say what does it have with Oregon City doesn't make any sense to me. It was here before Oregon City.
But it's in another location right now, anyway. So well, how are we, I mean, are you going to want to have him send us something that he's written so that it gets to the flavor of, gee, this is an Oregon City thing?
I don't need to go through.
Well, I don't either. I'm just asking.
Just a better acknowledgement of the city and,
Right.
and even if it's that, and for more information about Oregon City, here's the website. I mean,
Right.
it could be as simple as that.
Go ahead.
All of this that's going on right now is why we traditionally use competitive processes
Right.
with applications.
Yeah.
Right, well, this commission has not created, or the city staff has not created a process to deal with this.
So I asked the
we
question
gotta fix
again.
it.
The motion and the seconder, the motion didn't include the city's logo. We need to put that on there. If we're paying for it, I want acknowledgement, just like Rocky said.
Yeah, I agree. That can be a part of the motion.
Okay? And then ask for a better connection between the Fort Vancouver 250th and Oregon City, and have maybe our
200th.
www Travel Oregon, blah, 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 or, you know. Okay. The motion's been amended. Seconder? Were you the seconder?
At this point, I can't
Who
remember.
seconded?
Yes, I think I was.
Okay, all right. So let's have a vote. And again, yes, you're correct, and correct.
Yeah.
So the motion as it stands is, I believe, for $900.
No,
Or I want to make sure we're clear on what the motion actually is before I
Yes.
vote.
I believe the motion, you said $900, didn't you, Mr. Mitchell?
It was
I thought
5,
that's
2,
what-
and 2, right?
for the flowers.
And then 200
For the signage, but,
and 200 for contingency.
and then the contingency was probably going to have to cover the signage as well.
Yeah, but that would be 900 total.
Yes.
5, 2, and 2.
That's what I
Okay.
heard.
900.
Okay, so
Okay.
900 with the logo and amended statement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And travel Oregon.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
No.
Commissioner Marl,
No.
Mayor McGriff.
Reluctantly, aye. And again, do not come back here next year and do this. We're not going to do this.
Well, to Commissioner Smith's point, we need to
our
have a
fault.
process.
I understand.
It's our
Before we
fault,
expect
guys.
people to live up to a process.
I understand. We don't have a process, but they also don't have to wait until the last freaking minute.
That's
Process or not, we knew this was happening.
Well, I thought it wasn't happening because I knew when the
didn't know
Rose
it was
Festival was, and I
happening
said,
either,
well,
yeah.
they haven't made any request in February or March, so nothing must be happening. So that was my impression, so. All right, so let's move on to our last item, which is sanitary sewer infrastructure rehabilitation with city charter parks. That's a mouthful. You hope not?
Well, I don't want a mouthful of,
Sanitary sewers infrastructure?
Thank you.
Could you make some arrangements for that, Dana? We'll have them delivered to Rocky's house tonight.
All All right, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm here tonight to just give a brief overview of some sanitary sewer infrastructure within charter parks, and I'm looking for direction on how to proceed. So tonight, the request is direction on how to proceed with the work in the charter parks. So this slide has just a couple of images on it of a manhole and a clean out. So kind of giving you a visual of what that infrastructure would look like. And then in your packet is a large matrix of all of the parks and the anticipated kind of future needs for that. And so really what I wanted to do is just quickly walk you through kind of a visual of what these different construction methods look like and how they impact the existing surface so that you have an understanding of that for this discussion. So a cured in place pipe or a CIPP lining really utilizes our existing manholes to line the pipe. So has very little impact to the surface for the construction, although getting our equipment to those manholes within the park may have impacts to vegetated or grass surfaces. In the event we impact those types of surfaces, we would restore them to existing condition. So really a very limited impact to the surface area. Pipe bursting is another method that we've been using. That does require what we call a pit at each end where the infrastructure is pulled into the existing pipe. And we essentially break out that existing pipe and push or pull another pipe into it. So some ground disturbance in these areas. We've also utilized directional drilling where we can essentially kind of pull the infrastructure underground with, again, limited impact to the surface area. And then the most kind of intrusive method is our open trench method where we're essentially, digging that trench and putting in new pipe. We do, in some areas, need to utilize essentially the open trench method if we have some kind of defects in the pipe that we can't address with lining or bursting it. And so really, these would be the methods that we've been using. The program has continued to use the least impactful method that we can based on the condition of the piping. And so tonight, really what we're looking for is, we've got kind of a technical memo in here with those impacts and kind of a description of these impacts as well as a legal memo. And at this point, we're looking for the direction related to if this work can be done as maintenance work without a vote or does require a vote to complete sewer rehabilitation work within charter parks. So I don't have much of a presentation. I'll have Carrie answer kind of the legal side of things.
Thank you, Mayor McGriff and Commissioners. Carrie Richter. I put together a memo explaining you all know that there are limitations in the city charter that require voter approval in order to take certain actions in parks. And so the issue is whether or not the replacement of these existing lines would require voter approval under subsection C of the charter, which talks about getting voter approval when you're constructing permanent buildings or structures other than for recreational purposes and park maintenance. And then it goes on to say, in any case where at the date of adoption of this section, there are existing structures which do not comply with this provision, so structures, additions and alterations are exempted. So there's this sort of non-conform, where there is pre-existing pipes in the ground, they can stay and continue forward and be maintained and altered. And that's what we have here. We have existing pipes that have been in the ground, both serving existing parks and also serving areas beyond existing parks. And so we have to make a decision about whether or not voter approval is required. And the analysis that I put together was, one, these are existing pipes and we've got this sort of non-conforming issue. So we should allow those pipes to continue to function and to be maintained, to provide both park facilities and to serve others. Second, many of these pipes do serve the bathrooms in these parks, so they do serve a recreation purpose. There are 2 parks that the pipes don't serve the park, and so that's, I think, really where the rub might be. And then the idea that we're not adding anything new here, we're not constructing anything new, this is directed at new structures, and here we're maintaining the existing structures. And then there's a sort of issue that we've talked about before, that I've actually talked with the commission before about, is whether or not a pipe is a structure, or things that are below the surface or on the surface are a structure. And I don't know that the commission needs to decide that question necessarily. I think there are, other sort of maybe stronger justifications under the charter to not require voter approval, but that this structure issue might be one too. Ultimately, I think the purpose of the charter provision is to ensure that these areas are available for park purposes. And this won't be permanent. Even if it's open trench, these park activities, landscaping, the aesthetic beauty of the park, all of those things will be permanently in place as soon as the I&I work is finished. So that's sort of a summary of my memo. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to talk about any particular provisions that are giving you concerns, I'm happy to answer any questions, but that was what I put together for you.
Any questions? Thoughts? Well, I for one, I guess I'll start this off, is that I don't feel that doing this type of pipe work would require a vote of the public. It is routine and sort of ordinary maintenance. I think that the memo from the city attorney outlines very well sort of what we are, facing. I would say if we were, building a structure on top of the park, or, we went for a vote of the public when West was doing their major, that was pretty major. And there was going to be some fairly major disturbance there, but I think this is routine and ordinary maintenance, and I would recommend that we conclude that no vote of the public is required to allow this I&I work to occur in our charter parks.
I guess when I read it, I wondered about where it says they're on. To me, that implies
above
on
ground
the surface.
Yeah, they're not. They're below ground.
A pipe underground is not there on the park.
Yeah.
To me, so I agree that I don't think we need a public vote. I guess what I would like to see, just so this commission would have another look at it, is in more natural area in a park where we start talking about tree removal. I think that's where we might want to hear back if we're going to have to start removing trees in parks, because that's when we're going to get pushback from the public. Why are we taking down trees in a park? So
we're not taking down any trees.
Well, it says it's a possibility.
Well, it could be a possibility depending on where the pipe is.
Right, and that's why I would like that to come back to the commission.
Again, the pipe's in the ground, and the tree may not even have been there when they put the pipe in. So
You're missing my point.
No, I'm not missing your point. You want this, if they have to take out a tree, you want them to come back and tell us that they're taking out a tree?
Yes.
And you want to make a different decision that we're going to ask the public that we can take the
No,
tree out?
no.
You just want to know?
Yes.
Anybody have any objection to that?
My only objection would be if that would cause a delay in work that would cost extra,
Money.
basically money, to delay while we come back to the city commission to let us know that we have to remove a tree.
Rocky? I can skip you.
No more than the delay would be caused by the public coming and reacting to a tree being taken out of a park that we didn't allow them to vote on.
I don't. Does the charter park identify removal of tree as being an undertaking that would require a vote of the public?
No. It talks about structures.
That's what I thought. I mean, that's my review of it.
No, but if a tree comes down, that's the first inkling for someone to question
Well,
the
we're gonna-
legal interpretation of what we did to get there.
Right,
So-
we're gonna put a notice out that we might be having to take, anyway. So is there a way that we can get information regarding that if that has to happen by email rather than coming back to a commission meeting? Because I think your point is well taken. We're on kind of a schedule for getting some of this work done.
Well, hang on. Isn't the evaluation done some substantial period of time before you actually roll out the equipment and do it?
Yes, so we should know which trees we are anticipating to impact.
Might impact.
So I think the question would be, are we following the standard tree removal process that's been adopted? Or is this an ask for something different?
I think we have to follow our process.
Yeah, I would think we would want to follow our tree removal process. That's why we put it in place.
Right.
I think what Dana is trying to clarify is that we can follow that process, and there may be situations where we as staff can move forward with tree removal based on type or size or location, so it wouldn't necessarily come to the commission for approval.
Thank you.
So I guess I don't think anybody's proposing we don't follow the adopted process. We have process in place for construction, public projects, public property, public trees. Right, the question is, sometimes those aren't going to meet the thresholds that have been identified, which means a tree could be removed because it complies with the policy, but it wouldn't have necessarily been brought to the commission.
Then we
Okay, all right.
We
Then
follow the process.
Okay, I'll back up. We did spend a lot of time putting that process in place. Let's just make sure we follow our process.
Right. Okay. So can we have a motion? I can't make it. I stated what I read out of the staff report, what I thought we could approve. It's on page 5 of the memo, second paragraph. Yes. We have to move that we conclude that there's no vote of the public required to allow for the I&I work to occur in charter parks, and we will follow our tree removal process should that occur.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Marl,
Aye.
Mayor McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And my eye is now watering. I didn't put my hands near my face. It's the dog. Sorry. Anyway, okay, communications.
No, I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Sorry.
That's
Yes, I
fine.
do.
Sorry you do.
Yeah,
I just wanted to let the commission know that Bill Weisman is retiring at the end of the month.
yes,
His last meeting will be May 21st.
Okay.
He will be here.
Good.
So I hope you'll all be here too. I will not be here, but he will be here, and if the meeting's
he better be here.
ends early enough, he's looking forward to having a drink with anybody who wants to go with him after the meeting.
All right.
Nice.
Nothing from you, Mr. Manager? Ms. Assistant Manager? Commissioners?
I do have one.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so the mayor talked about the award that the city received at the League of Oregon Cities Spring Conference that happened last week. I was not able to stay for the conference, but we did have our League of Oregon Cities Board of Directors meeting the day before, which I attended. One thing that I wanted to highlight from our meeting that I figured might be of interest to you all is we had an update on the Oregon Government Ethics Commission's recent interpretation of state ethics laws, and our executive director, Patty Mulvihill, who is a lawyer herself, shared with us basically what that means. And so what they are currently saying, or at least advising, is that we not have conversations with each other about city issues, because then talking to another person would potentially constitute a serial meeting, which I think we all know has always kind of been something. But taking it a step further, they advise against talking to city management, because then if the city manager were to talk to other commissioners about such issues, then that would constitute a quorum in a serial meeting. They also advised against meeting or having certain conversations with constituents, because should a constituent have that same conversation with a quorum, that it would be problematic for their, so that's at least what we were told, and that they are working with legislators who actually wrote the bill, who have clearly said that that was not their intention, and that they don't understand where the Ethics Commission's interpretation comes from.
I don't know where that's coming from.
But there are conversations going on right now with the governor and with legislators about how to possibly fix that. And then one more thing, because we're in the middle of budget season, there was an interpretation that any elected who was either paid or somehow reimbursed through their city for whatever, for travel, for professional development, that would constitute a conflict of interest, and that they would be advised not to vote in their city budget. So there are...
oh my God, is it getting deep in here or what?
So maybe we should all just call it quits right now and not show up tomorrow.
So the advice
Nobody can talk to anybody ever.
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say.
About
Nobody
anything?
can talk to anybody ever
So the
outside of
whole
these meetings.
issue of being an elected official is that you are communicating with your constituents. And that is just absolutely ridiculous.
So if we get a free dinner tomorrow night before the budget committee meeting, we can't vote
Right.
on the budget because it's got a line item for food somewhere.
Right.
Yes.
My
I see we've
goodness.
gotten from the ridiculous, from the sublime to the completely BS ridiculous.
We passed way past ridiculous a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, I don't know where that's at. I'm sorry, but I can't support that.
And Ms. Richter, please correct me if anything I said was beyond the truth of what you understand it to be.
Well, my understanding is that it is not that. As you summarized it, I don't think that's what the law provides. But, I understand that OGEC has a different take on it, and I've heard complaints from other cities about the sort of their scope and their training, and that I understand other attorneys are talking with them about sort of changing that, and it sounds like you've heard word they're working through the legislature. I just think it's certainly not well formed yet.
I think somebody has over the deep end. And, I did take Michael and I took the ethics training, and, we still have not gotten a response back from all those questions that we had. And I did not take the recent survey that I received about evaluating the executive director of the Ethics Commission. I don't have any contact with that person whatsoever, so how was I supposed, I got it like 5 times, and I wrote back and I said, I don't know this person, I've never interacted with this person, I'm not going to evaluate this person, I don't know anything about this person. But having read in the paper that certain people who are now not in a government got fined $600 and $1,500 for what I consider to be egregious acts, to me is just ridiculous. And I don't take a whole lot of stock in all of this.
Well, I'm sure the governor and the legislature will be setting a fine example.
I'm sure she is.
The ethics requirements, especially considering
Like,
how many free
good
dinners
grief.
there are down in Salem these days.
Yeah. Anything else that's of the commission? So the only other thing I wanted to add under communications is that Hannah and I, as much as we possibly can, are going to be doing some road shows to talk to schools about the Youth Advisory Commission, specifically eighth graders. And I did want to say it'll be coming up on a future agenda, but again, we had a second place winner in the If I Were Mayor contest statewide. We will be doing the presentations here rather than he will not have to go to Baker City, which is where the OMA conference is in August. But again, this is just a very nice little feather in our cap for our students. And, hopefully we'll broadcast this far and wide that we have, some amazing students in our school district. We didn't get anybody in the poster contest, and we had some awesome posters this year, but maybe the posters that I'll see at the OMA will be more awesome than the ones we had. So anyway, being no further business, we are officially adjourned until tomorrow night when we have budget committee.